Hi guys, it's Emily from Novelle Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my August wrap-up part 2. Now, I think I've not done too badly with my reading this month. To me it's slightly less numbers than normal, but obviously with the school holidays I was expecting that. I've been very busy taking the kids to the parks, being a mum, which I've loved, helping out my friends' kids and working. So it's been quite a stressful month. I'm filming this on the 31st. I'm filming this actually on the 1st of September. The kids are out with their grandparents and they're back at school tomorrow. So talk about leaving it to the last minute. I actually finished my last book last night at about 8:30 at night because I really wanted to get that last book in. It was a library book, wanted to get it done, wanted to top up my numbers, and it was actually a 5-star book, so that's quite good. Now, you guys know that I recounted my books last month for a video. So, I'm not going to look at any other month's previous unread TBR. This is what I'm going with and I'm going to stick with it. So, my physical unread TBR is 450 books. I will not let it get above 500. I don't really want it to go any above this. I know I bought too many books last month, in August, because I thought I wouldn't. Like I said to you, I said I was not going to buy many books, and obviously talk about that more in my August haul video, which I'll be showing you soon. Did cheat a little bit. My August haul video is not going to include the books that I bought when I went out with Gemma, or the books that I bought on Bank Holiday Monday, because I've added them onto September's TBR, because otherwise August book buying would have been a bit too high. Because if you don't count those, I bought 33 books last month, which wasn't too many, and I was gifted 9. I unhauled 7 unread, which felt like an achievement. And I'm gonna try and keep unhauling my unread books, because I need to be spot on it. Actually, I think I unhauled 8 actually, so maybe my number might be slightly less, but it doesn't matter too much. I've unhauled 7 or 8 books, so that was good. I haven't, like I said, I think my plan for going forward on my buying is I was going to charity shop straight after work, just to give me a 2-minute break, give me half an hour off, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to one of the charity shops, Baz Books, because it's my favourite one. I won't buy too many books. Yeah, didn't do that. And I also went to a car boot and did a few other things, and it was comfort buying, which is, you know me, I did this last year, I comfort bought. But even then, I'll be proud, I was happy with the books I bought. They were all books I really was excited by. So I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Sorry, rambling about that for a minute. Let's go on to my numbers of my physical, of what I've actually read this month. And let's go forward. I'm not going to charity shops next week. I'm not going to any more this week now, because next week I'm going to have a week at home pretty much, because I need to get my strength back up. Because I'll be honest, I'm having quite a lot of problems with my pain, because I've been rushing around with the kids and work's manic, and it's just been killing me off. So I need to get back on it. I need to be at home resting and reading more. Get my reading books numbers up. Hey. So I read 33 books this month, which I'm happy with. Let's go to the genres. I've got 1 mystery, it's all right, 1 dystopic, 2 classics, 2 fantasy, 2 non-fiction, only 7 historical fiction. That surprised me. 18 contemporaries. Eek. But I have to look after my mental health, and I know that contemporaries really help my mental health, and I'm happy with that. I really hope my classics go better this month, because if you guys have seen my September TBR, I think my classics that I've got ahead of me are a little bit better. I've read a few chunky ones, so these numbers do include books that I've read over more than 1 month, so please bear that in mind when you look at my figures. So I had 1 DNF, which I spoke about in my last video. I had 2 unrated books. One of those unrated books I talked about in my other video. The next one is Goodbye Mr. Tom by tomorrow. Captain Tom wrote Tomorrow Will Be a Good Day. I could not rate this book because I don't rate non-fiction anymore, because I don't think it's my place to rate it. It's a really good book. It made me cry. There's a lot of COVID stuff at the end and at the start, and talk about making me cry, bringing back a lot of memories of last year. To think this man died of COVID at the end, it just, yeah, gulp, proper killed me off. But it's beautifully written. This guy, he did a lot. and he really raised the money for us. He fought in our war, he had relationship things, he actually had a really interesting life, and I think he deserved being the medals he got at the end. Bit of name dropping at the end though, that was a bit interesting, a bit of name dropping, which I struggle with. But brilliant book. I think Gemma's going to have this. I'm going to pass this over to Gemma as a gift because she would really love this. I mean, you know what me and Gemma are like, we tend to do the swapping and stuff. Then I had my classic that I had 2.5 star books. I had the Karamazov brothers, I can't say it. I buddy read this with Charlie and I gave it 2.5 stars, and I'm sorry. I think, Gemma, I think you got me this for my birthday, and I don't think I'm going to keep it because I really struggled with it. It was a good book in some ways, but there was a lot of rehashing. I loved buddy reading it with Charlie from Charles Heathcote. He's a brilliant guy. Love chatting to him. He's so educated, and I think we had some really interesting chats. But a lot of it was going over the hish-pishing over the same thing. A lot of religion in this, which I struggled with. There's some graphic scenes in this that I struggled with. And it wasn't so much about the brothers, which is what I was expecting at the start. The start was fantastic. The ending was all right. But the middle was a really soggy middle. Like Charlie's words were, it had a soggy middle. And it really did. I'm so disappointed. I wanted to love this. I liked Crime and Punishment way more than this, and I'm really looking forward to rereading Crime and Punishment. And I don't know if that's because that's smaller and this is like so chunky. This was like over 800 pages and it's one of my biggest books, but I don't think I can keep it. I'm not going to give it to a charity shop, but I'm not sure if I'm going to post it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might give it to my favourite charity shop because they might be able to make good use and someone might love it, but I really don't know. I don't know, is it worth me keeping this to reread it? Can you please let me know in the comments below. Do you think I'll get more out of it if I reread it? Because sometimes with classics you can get more out rereading. Let me know in the comments below, but I really did struggle with that. That's my hish-pish. I don't know what I'm doing with that. Then I go on to my 3-star books. And I'll start with my other chunky book. My biggest book that was on my shelves, War and Peace, which I read with my read-along group. And the read-along group was amazing. Me and Gemma co-hosted it, and I thoroughly loved running it with Gemma. Gemma's amazing. You know, Gemma's one of my booktube besties. Love the girl to pieces. And the guys on the chat was so incredible. They tended to get more out of it than we did, and we both felt really guilty that we were really struggling with this. The peace sections of this were really good. The ending was amazing, and there were certain bits that really made me cry. There's certain bits with Prince Andrew that really made me cry. And that part is why it got 3 stars, because there was certain bits that I loved, but the war bits I skimmed over. I actually prefer Anna Karenina to this. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I did the read-along group, but that's a definite charity shop. I bought it for myself, so I don't need to worry about it. I can charity shop it. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to reread that. I got what I needed to get out of it. One of my biggest books off the shelf. Goodbye. So here's my other 3-star books, and I'm just checking because I've just realised. Yep, this was only 3 stars. Now, this was an extra book that I did on Amy Tan's The 100 Secret Sentences. Oh, there is 2 Japanese authors that write in Japanese from books set in Japan that I really love. Lisa C and Amy Tan. Lisa C I prefer to Amy Tan. Not being rude, but that's just my personal opinion. This book, it had potential. It's got about sisters, Olivia Yi and her half-sister, Kwan, who lives older sister from China. She comes to live with the family and turns her life upside down. There is certain bits of this that were really good. It's 3 stars, so I did like it, but I wanted more. And the Chinese bit, there was some quite interesting bits. And it's sort of set over 30 years, and Olivia endures visits from Kwan and her ghosts who appear, and it's quite sweet, but just not easy to read. 3 stars, charity shop, bye bye. Then then I've got my, because I'm sort of trying to gradually read this series, so if I see the next one, then I will get the next one. I read 204 Rosewood Lane. I want to read the next one if I see it in the charity shop. This is Deborah McComber's series. It's set in the early 2000s, and I think you can see that in the book because there's certain things that haven't aged as well looking back. But to read this, you really do need to have read at least the one before that, 204 Rosewood Lane, which I read this year. And this is about Rosie Cox and her brother and her soon-to-be ex-husband. And it's got Judge Olivia, we've got Zach, we've got loads of characters in it. And it is lots of characters. And I loved revisiting them. I loved the fact that there were so many characters that I'd loved in the first book. And the second book, sorry, that I'd read. And it was nice to read about them. 3 stars, cosy, contemporary, pretty, but not one I'm going to keep. And I'm not going to pay full price for them. So if I see them in the charity shop, I'll carry on with the series. And the next one was a bit of a disappointment because I loved Sarah Walter's other book that I read, Fingersmith, but this one didn't like as much. It's very dark, very sexy, very spooky, very stylish, but not as good as Fingersmith. Now you know you're drawn to me while your flesh is creeping to mine. What it comes for, let it creep. Set in a dark Victoria prison. It's quite dark, quite sort of gothic-y and good. It was all right, but it was just all right. It didn't have characters that I loved. Didn't have passion that I wanted it to be, and it was all right, but no, not for me. Now I got 2 3.5-star books that had that little edge that was above the 3 stars. But in general, I've read, look at my numbers, I read 8 3 stars books this month. 2 2.5. I'm just having a look actually. Oh, I didn't even count up how many 5-star books I've read this month. Actually, hang on a minute, I can cheat now. I'm just having a quick quiz. So I've got 4 5-star books on this list. And I've just got to find my wrap up part 1 and then I can tell you how many other 5-star. 4 and 4. So it's only 8. Oh, only 8 4-star books this month. So I've actually, my numbers, I've got 8 4 stars, 8 5 stars and 8 3 stars. So it's kind of an alright month really. 6 4 stars and then 4 4.5. So they're alright. Just not, been a bit of an interesting, not as good as last month, but better than the month before. Actually, no. Not as better than the last month, but not as good. Oh, I don't know. It was alright. Let's be honest. Sorry, I'm a bit hish-pishy today. I'm very distracted. Right, so my 3.5-star books are Carry On, which I read with the lovely Chloe from Chloe Reads Books. It was okay. Chloe, I think, rated it 3 stars. I rated it 3.5 because it had potential. There is the sort of graphic style novel thingy. It was all right, but so YA, and I really am too old for some of the. I need to learn that some YA books I'm a little bit too old for, and I probably am a bit too old for this. It has references like this is basically what the Fangirl, the graphic novel that the Fangirl is her book Fangirl is referenced to, and it's all right. But I preferred Eleanor and Park, if I'm being honest. Eleanor and Park I've kept, didn't keep Fangirl. Probably won't want to read the other ones, not really. I think I'm definitely too old. Simon Snow is the worst chosen one that's ever been chosen. That's what his roommate Baz says, and Baz may be evil and a vampire and a complete git, but he's probably right. Started well, again soggy middle, ended fantastically. The ending was absolutely amazing, and that ending is what topped it up to 3.5 stars. So obviously I can't tell you that because otherwise it would give you away the ending. But the ending was fantastic. It was just okay. It was okay. It wasn't the problem. It was very long and you just kept wanting to speed it up and just carry on. I think buddy reading it with Chloe made me push forward and maybe keep going on it, but it was all right. Just a bit too YA and a bit too magical. The magic and the references with the other book that we don't talk about. So yeah, not really for me. I'm too old. Now my next 3.5-star book was The Swallowtail Summer. Again, this is Erica James. And it was a summer book. I only got it because it had gin on the back. I really bought it this summer because it had bits about gin and tonics in the garden. Not we've had the summer to do gin and tonics in the summer, but hey ho. Beautiful setting. The setting in this is gorgeous. There are some lovable characters, but again, there's cheating in it, and I don't like cheating. And I don't like the way it talks about it. And then there's a bit about some psychopathic characters in it that I didn't really expect to have in it. That were all right, but again, it was 3.5 stars. It was a good book, and it was better than. It was an all right book, just not as good as some of the other contemporaries I've read this month. Probably one of my least favourite contemporaries, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it was all right. And Erica James is a good author, and I love it. It's a beautiful book. I don't even think my mum's gonna like that though, but it's all right. Give that back to the charity shop I got it from. So I spent £1, then I have it back. There you go. So now I'm on to my 4-star books. I think I'm surprised I actually have less 4-star books than I thought, because 4-star books to me, I had 6 4-star books and 4 4.5-star books, and the 4-star books were good. I'm just trying to possibly be a bit more strict on my 5-star books. So when I say it's 4 stars, it's good. It just wasn't good enough to keep. I think that's the thing with the 4 stars and the 4.5. They just don't have that edge that I'm going to want to reread them. Although one of them I'm debating because I'm tempted to keep it. This one is going Charity Shop by. I can't remember where I got it from. This is Always in My Heart by Frida Lightfoot. A land girl searches for her son. After being held in a camp during the war, Brenda Stewart returns to her late husband's home in a stately Trowbridge Hall in the Pennines to be reunited with her young son. A factory worker's daughter from Manchester, Brenda doesn't belong in the wealthy surroundings. Now this was good. This was a great wartime book, and I'm certainly going to pick up more of this author's works. Some very hard-hitting issues. I did predict some of the twists at the end, which is another reason why it's 4 stars. But about finding Brenda's long lost son, and I could never imagine being parted from my kids, even though they drove me crazy. This is good. Lovely wartime book. Definitely pick up more of this authors. If you like wartime books that sort of talk about parenting and sort of like romances a bit and knowing your place, and this girl sort of stood up for herself, I thought that was quite good. Another charity shop. Got my charity shop piles. Who's here? Baz Books, You're Gonna Like Me. This is the one that I can't decide whether I'm going to keep or not. Now, I originally bought this last year because it was recommended to me by the lovely Julie from Hungry Bookworm, and she wanted me to read it. I've read it. I loved it, Julie. Definitely a book for me. Sisters Nora and Delia have been given the chance of a lifetime to escape their poor Irish farm and travel on the Titanic to a new life in America. Nora is the trusted governess for a rich family, while Delia is only a lowly maid's position. When disaster strikes and Nora is lost, a misunderstanding leads to Delia taking Nora's place as a governess. This is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was read for the Join the Six Readathon as my book, that it was a daunting book. And it was daunting. The Titanic references in it really made me gulp. Like, you hear, every time I think about the Titanic and what those people went through, I gulp. That wasn't referenced as much as I thought, but the sister references were really interesting. They're not close sisters. It's not like me and my sisters. But it's really interesting concept. And it's really interesting the way the two sisters went ahead and changed, and I loved it. I really am tempted. I think that might be a keepy, because I think I might want to reread that. That's a 4-star that I wanted to keep. Maybe that needs to be up to next rating, because I did really enjoy it. Then an extra book I read, which is my mystery book, which is Trespass by Rose Tremaine. Definitely my best Rose Tremaine book, but not only because of the mystery element. I'm not going to keep it. But in the silent valley of southern France, set is an isolated farmhouse, Maz Lunel. Its owner, Aramon Lunel, an alcoholic, is haunted by his violent past. His sister, Undrun, alone in the bungalow within sights of the Maz Lunel. I'm not going to say the French names. Brilliant. Definitely the best Rose Tremaine. If you want to read Rose Tremaine, definitely start with this. It's good, but there's again some very hard-hitting issues in it, very tricky things. So I wouldn't keep that, but it is very good. Writing's beautiful, but not one I'm going to keep. Then I read another historical fiction, which I think, I'm just going to see if this is 4 or 4.5 stars. No, it's 4 stars. Another wartime book, Come Rain or Shine. The fiercest of friendships can weather any storm. This is bloody hard-hitting. This was 4 stars, but blimmin' heck. It has abuse in it. It has quite a lot of daunting things. We start off with cousins, and it's Sheila who meets up with her cousin Veronica, known as Ronnie. Sheila and Ronnie have both had really troublesome things going on in them, and they decide to start running a garage. They get given their grandfather's garage. But there's some really dark elements in this that you didn't expect, and characters that you didn't like, and you could see the abuse, and I found that triggering. But it's beautiful. Again, very well written, just not one I will redo again because there was too much triggers in. There's too many triggers in that. Then I think the last, no, 2 more 4 stars. This video is going to go on too long if I don't describe it much longer. The Long Weekend by Veronica Henry. This I buddy read with the lovely Laura from Book Bubba. Love reading with her. She's such a sweetheart. She's been sending me some lovely messages and a true diamond. This is one of Veronica Henry's really good books, but she does have a lot of storylines packed into a small book, and you can kind of get a bit lost at times, but the way she tied them together at the end was lovely. This isn't one of my favourites of hers, but it's not one of my least favourites, so I'm not going to keep it, but it's a beautiful book. It's got, like, Claire Marlowe owns the townhouse by the sea with Luca, the hotel's charismatic chef, and my front door is gone, but I'm going to ignore it. So yeah, it's really good, but not one I'm going to keep. Really did enjoy it. Okay, so I will actually, this video is going to be done in 2 different parts. There we go, bye bye. I'm back. Now this video is going to look a bit funny now because it's going to have to be done in that setting bit where I had the 2 videos together. Hey ho. Then I read The City of Friends by Joanne Trollope. Joanne Trollope. This was a book that I got given for free by my local charity shop, and I really enjoyed it. Set about 4 friends in their 40s or 50s, a bit older, so I can relate to that. Very different lives, very different challenges. Really interesting though. Really did enjoy it, but definitely felt very emotional. And you've got 4 friends. You start off with one of them and one of them loses their job, and they don't want to tell their friends. And then you've got dementia storyline in this, and you've got various different strong women and their own battles. I think Gemma's going to want this one, so that's my Gemma book. That was good. Now we've got 2 4.5-star books. So I only saw Gemma the other day, and already she's got a pile of 3 books, because I'm going to give her this one as well. This is Queen and Malone's Paradise Hotel. I did the try chapter tag, and just to give you a heads up, those of you that watched my try chapter tag, I said I was going to keep the hidden people. I didn't. I unhauled it because I really didn't get drawn to it. You were right. I didn't want it. Whereas this I read, and the try chapter tag did brilliant, because this was 4.5 stars and Ruth Hogan's best books. I can't tell you too much about it because otherwise it will give you, there's very much clues. What makes me love it is the clues that would tell you too much about the books and tell you the twist that I didn't want you to know. But this is basically set in 2 timelines with about Tilly, and Tilly is when she was a girl, and Tilda is when she's an adult, and she goes back to Brighton after her mother dies with the help of beloved Queenie, and sets about unravelling the mystery of her exile from the Paradise Hotel, only to discover that her mother was not the woman she thought she knew. Brilliant book. Thoroughly loved it. If you want to read Ruth Hogan, start with the best. Start with this. You will love it. And now the last 4.5-star book, When All Is Said, by Anne Griffin. I read this because Gemma told me to read it. It was one of my last books of the month. And it's brilliant. It's about 4 different storylines. You've got this basically, Maurice Hannigan is 84 and he's sitting at a bar and he raises 4 toasts to 4 people. And it's their storylines of the 4 people. And if you want a book to make you cry, read this, because it will make you sob your heart out. He raised 5 toasts to the 5 people who have meant the most to him. Through these unspoken stories of unspoken joy and regret, a secret tragedy kept hidden, a fierce love that never found its voice, and the life of one man who powerfully and poignantly lay bare. Brilliant. Mum's going to have this, because I think she'll love it. I think she'll cry. And my last 4.5-star book, actually this is my last 4.5-star book, and then we go on to 5-star books. Book I've got from the library, Bad Mothers Book Club. This book club only reads wine labels, and this is certainly a good book to read after the summer holidays, because it's about a mum. It's about a group of mums, and this lady moves away from her friends to a seaside village after her husband's career change. Emma's life consists of long walks on the beach with her dog, early nights with the kids, and Netflix, no chill. Bored and lonely, when Emma is invited to an exclusive mum's book club, she thinks her luck may finally be in, but she soon finds that the women aren't what they seem. Yeah, and I can't even carry on telling you because it will tell you what happens. And the bit that happens on the back of the book doesn't actually happen until halfway through to the end, which is why I think I rated it 4.5, not 4. But talk about battles that us women face and us mums face. Your dads could face it too. How we portray the image that we want to portray, and how the people that look the glossiest don't always have the perfect lives. This is good. Very relatable, but the bit in the back that made it interesting didn't actually happen until right near the end of the book. Definitely a fun book to read at the end, but not one I would necessarily even buy. So maybe that's 4.5 stars. It probably should be just a 4. I think I may change that. So now I've got 4 5-star books. One of them was a library book that I had to give back. Can you predict what my favourite out of these 4 would be? I think you know me, you all know me very well, so I think you're going to predict. So here we go. The first book is a book that was on my Amazon wish list, and when I saw it in the library, and this was the book that I kept going till like 8-9 o'clock last night so I could get it finished. This is Holly Bourne's book, The Yearbook. I rated it 5 stars because I had to think that I was as if I was rating it as if I was the desired audience, the YA audience. As a grown-up, I don't know if that would be 5 stars. But imagining that I was the age of this audience, I think the writing is perfect for a YA book. It's an amazing YA book. Definitely one that tackles, again, a very hard-hitting issues. Be warned, there is a lot of there is some domestic abuse in this. There is mental bullying. There is bullying in this. And it's all tackled within one book. And it's about, and panic attacks are put in it, and mental health is in it. Holly Bourne writes amazingly anyway. Holly Bourne's characters are fantastic. She writes beautifully. She writes her really interesting people and about what it was like at high school, secondary school. For those of you that went to secondary school, so many people would have faced some of these battles. Grace is an amazing person, lie. Laura steals people's boyfriends, lie. Paige is totally unlovable, also a lie. And Paige is the character. Obviously, I love Paige too in books that kind of made me in the right page. But Paige is a great character. She's very quiet. She's in the background. She lives her life not believing she is worth anything. How many of us can relate to that, I wonder? And it's brilliant. And it's about the yearbook. And I just loved it. But God, is it hard-hitting. So please be warned of that going in. That's my other library book. My other library book that went back already is 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott. I love that book. Again, it's YA, so I had to rate it 5 stars as if I was at the audience. But God, is it hard-hitting. It's about a girl and two people who have cystic fibrosis. And they're on the set, mainly on the hospital wards. You have to keep 5 feet apart because their risk of catching anything and dying is very intense. And it's very hard-hitting. It made me cry. Really emotional, but one that's very well done. But God, I really cried on that book. I really, really did. So, then, penultimate book. I did read, I said 8 5-star books. Crossfire, which is the next in the series. The newest book comes out in September. I'm reading it in October, and that will finish that series. So that's one of the prompts for a series October. But I love this book. I loved it. It was really good. I can't talk about it too much because it's in the series, and it's like 4th or 5th in the series. And it's years have passed since the love between Sophia Cross and Callum Minort destroyed their family, their world, and changed their families and society forever. Life seems different now. Being a Minort or a Cross isn't like it used to be. And again, I can't tell you any more. But the series, again, the characters. This is about 2 different characters in it. Basically, the predominant characters are Troy and I'm just going to see. You've got Toby and Callie. Toby and Callie are in it from the last book, but it's mainly around Troy and Libby. And I can't tell you much about them because they're connected to the other books, and that will give spoilers away. But it's fantastically well written. The characters are brilliant. Mallory Blackman is one of the best authors, and I thoroughly love this book. Now to my last book of the month. Like I said, the last book in this pile, The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary, which I buddy read with Ange. Now, you guys know I love the flat chair. Love the switch, but the switch I didn't like as much as the flat chair. This is going to cause debatable issues because Ange didn't like this as much as she liked the switch. And other people have felt differently about this. To me, I love it the most. And I didn't know if I would or not. But I can't wait. I loved it. I thoroughly loved it. 5 stars all the way. Beth O'Leary basically writes the best female characters. One of my... This could potentially go down. This is a sneaky peek. This is just amazing. It's 5 stars all the way. Like 1 car, 5 people, a whole lot of history. You've got 2 people who are on their way to a wedding separately at the first start, and then there's a car crash and they're exes and they end up travelling to the wedding together. There are so many twists and turns in this book you do not expect. Characters that you do not expect to love but you do love. History that is beautifully written. Characters that are tied together as well. Issues that you didn't expect. Characters that make you laugh. Characters that make you cry. You cannot love this book. I could not love this book any more than I tried. So yes, it's pretty obvious. Yes, you guessed right. This was my favourite book of the month. With the other favourite book of the month was obviously Someone I Used to Know by Page Tune. There was no way anything could beat that. That's probably up in my favourites for the year. This is going to go on my favourites for the year. So the fact that in August I pulled 2 favourites for the year is amazing. I will never forget this book. It was brilliantly well written. Loved buddy reading with Ange. Anyway, this video is going to look funny because it was in 2 parts and I've got to add them together and I've got to do some work and editing, which I don't like doing. But what was your favourite book of the month? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you all had a lovely August, and let's hope the end of the year goes loads better than the end of last year. Let's hope the autumn months go well and you take care. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, ring on my ding-a-ling, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.